Okay, it's Brian. I have my co-pilot here. Hey, Mama Kitty. What's going on? You having a good day? Did you just drool on me? What's that all about? Did you just drool? What was that all about? What are you drooling on me for? Gross. Not that tasty. Maybe I could. Not to make a joke, but there was a joke about people eating cats the other day. It was stupid on the internet, and some people were stupider and propagated it. Anyway, so I'm Brian. I'm here. It is Tuesday. After a very successful interview with Mandy Logan, who came on our show on Sunday night. For those of you who may have missed it, I posted it up in our Discord. Where are you going? Gonna go somewhere? Don't show them your butt. Nobody wants to see your chocolate starfish. And nobody wants to see that. You okay? Hmm? It's my baby. Yeah, it's my baby. Yeah. You gonna stick around? I love you. Okay, well, you stick around. So yeah, had a good discussion with Mandy Logan, who is on our... My bad, sorry about that. She joined us on our... There it is. So we talked about all kinds of stuff with her. She talked about a little bit about a background, how she came to be in information security. It was not... I would say if she had a different way of getting into information security, she probably would have done it. But what I loved hearing was the experience with her in getting the help that she needed when when she had been told about who to reach out to and what have you, and they were able to help. Shadow Syndicate, I think, is who she mentioned, and of course they're now defunct. But it was good to see that there were people out there that when she went and spoke and told them about their issues, she was able to get help from them, and very positive feedback from the hacker community in that respect. We tend to do what we can to help people legitimately when we can. So, if you want to go check that out, you can. It's a good interview. Actually, did a few shorts on the YouTube channel. I was trying some things out, trying to make some small little vignettes about that and uploading them to there so you can hear about her background and some other things. You can still use that QR code up there to, oh, I am upside down. Wow, look at me. So I had to fix things. Rotate, there we are. I had to fix some things on my screen in the last week or so because I changed some things up. So that's why I was upside down on the screen there. But yeah, good discussion. She was a DEF CON goon like me this year. This was her second year. It's my first year. So, I'm hoping to see her again next year at DEF CON. And good times. You can go follow her. That's her Twitter handle right there, Survivatrix, on Twitter. She's also on Paul Security Weekly. And so if you have had a chance to see some of her work over there, go check that out. And we talked a little bit about interviewing people in a more professional environment. So I liked the discussion, and the post discussion was actually quite interesting as well. So unfortunately, I didn't record that bit, but yeah, she told a few stories. It was quite interesting. So how's everybody doing? Hello, viewer. Hello, lurkers, because I know you lurk. I am... so there's a lot in the news just recently about some changes that companies like to make, and I think I want to say we were fooling ourselves to think that it would always try to be this way, but there's I think that was So there was obviously some folks over oh, that's not a good article because that was garbage. Business Insider. Anyway, the gist of the message was that starting first of the year, everybody has to be back in the office 5 days a week. And, obviously I've got friends who work for that organization and some subsidiaries. As a matter of fact, I'm on Twitch, which is a Amazon-owned subsidiary. And there's some people that have, I don't want to say they've gotten used to not working in the office, because there is a freedom, if you will, that not everybody in the workforce gets by being able to work from home. I recognize my privilege of being able to work remotely. I mean, if I was in an office, I probably wouldn't be able to do half the stuff that I normally do because of the inflexibility of being in the office. I couldn't take a run at lunch. I couldn't, go and run errands as if I was, at home. I couldn't, go and grab groceries or something like that. Honestly, I don't understand the need. I think what bothers me, and if I worked, if I was, needing to go into an office like Amazon's up in Seattle, they've got offices all over the country. If they're going to require people to go work in an office, there needs to be a motivation, right? There needs to be a reason to want to go. And hey, Walt, how you doing? It's good to see you, man. You live up in Seattle. What's the commute like for somebody who has to drive to South Lake Union and they don't live in South Lake Union? Now, Walt, why don't you enlighten people? I know you don't live in Seattle. You're more in the Tacoma area. No, you're north now. You're north now. So what's the commute like for somebody who has to go into Seattle from someplace north, like where you're at? Where I used to live, east of Seattle. Yeah, commutes suck. I used to live east of Seattle. At least if you're north or south of Seattle or the city center of Seattle, there was a trolley. The East County, which I lived across Lake Washington over in Issaquah, in that area, there was nothing. You drove, or if you were lucky enough to work for a company that had a shuttle system like Microsoft, I think Amazon might have one, but Google and them, they have shuttles that you could take. But you're at the mercy of the shuttle system. And, if you go into what in the hell? If you go into an office and all of a sudden, the buses aren't working anymore, or there's bad weather, or, your kid has a broken arm and needs to go to the doctor, you have to get on a bus and then drive inexorably slowly home, and hoping that there's not a problem. And you're at the mercy of the traffic that you would have been in if you would have been in a car, without the flexibility of going, I don't want to be on the 90 anymore. I'm going to, go off somewhere. Yeah. I used to, before I worked at my current job, I was a subcontractor for Google. And I went on site in their Kirkland office. And their Kirkland office is lovely. And this was before the pandemic, of course. And it was like, they have a whole cafeteria and the food's free and all that. And it was like, what's the motivation? After a while, it's like, the food is the same, or, it's like, I'm just trudging down to get something, I don't get it. I think what companies should do, if they're going to implement some kind of RTO policy, don't make it sound so like this is what we're going to do from now on. Because no matter what you do, it's going to smack of insincerity. You're going to lose trust with your employees, especially the ones that were like, oh, cool, I work with people from all over the world. Now I have to drive into an office to have those same meetings with people who are all over the world. There's no difference. If I work here, if I work in my building that may be an hour and a half away, I'm still going to have those same meetings with those people. I'm just sitting in an office. And yeah, I think the biggest thing is the loss of trust in some of these organizations like Starbucks, where Starbucks especially, it's like, oh, we want people back in a seat. Oh, but our CEO can, commute in from some fucking place. I don't know where he flies in on his Lear jet every day or whatever. And maybe he doesn't do that. Maybe he doesn't do that every day. Maybe he gets up and he's like, oh, I'm just going to not go into the office. Drives double time for commute hours. Public transit adds maybe an hour. Exactly. I mean, if you're not saving anything by using public transport or even the shuttles that the companies might have available to you. If you have a company that has a shuttle, a lot of the smaller companies don't have those things. They'll give you an Orca card, great, but I actually looked at it one time. If I was going to try to go into an office from my house, it would have taken me a mile walk, regardless of the weather, unless I drove to the bus stop. Then I would take 1, 2, if I grabbed the express from the place in Issaquah, it would take me probably 90 minutes to drive to go into work. That doesn't include the walking, which would have been another 15 to 20 minutes, depending on my pace. And of course, management or the businesses you work for that's going to require you to go into the office, are they counting those commute hours as work hours? Of course they're not. So you're actually working more time for less money. And so it's kind of unfortunate, as I hide my webcam because I'm afraid that my company is eavesdropping on me with my camera. It's just unfortunate that the workers seem to be losing out on this, where it's I'm lucky enough that if I had to go into an office with my big corporation, I'm about 20 minutes away from my office here, which is not awful, but if they're doing things like you've got a badge in and out, so they know exactly when you came in the building, they know when you exactly left, they know how much coffee you're using, because I have heard that some companies now you can get a free cup of coffee every day. Wow, huge benefit. If they think that they're going to get more productivity by having everybody in the office, I think they're going to find themselves sadly mistaken, because as I've seen, let's see, soft quit. It's not, there is, yes, there's already stories from, and this is the International Business Times, so don't believe that shit. There, and I'm sure they're all coming and they're all referencing the same article, but yeah, there's already organizations and factions being created that are suggesting, a revolt, a soft quitting revolt in response to the mandate. Because the problem is, if you moved during the pandemic to be near family or to take care of a loved one, or you don't want to live in Sunnyvale or in the Bay Area of SFO because it's a garbage fire. Most of my team is not local. Only one other member is. Yeah, see, Walt, to your point, there's not much benefit here. And to a lot of organizations, if your entire team is in one location, great. That's probably a good reason to be in an office. But if you've got your team geographically located across many, many organizations, across many business units, across many places, you're going to work a 9 to 5 in an office, and then maybe you've got to have an 11 o'clock meeting from India. It's like, what does that look like, right? Where's the flexibility? Where's the work-life balance that a lot of these organizations have touted? But yeah, so the one thing I would suggest for some of these folks is I wouldn't organize or talk about what you're doing inside of the organization to quiet quit. Because I think I saw an article, I don't know if it was this one or something similar, where they said there was like 17,000 people who had started a Slack channel, maybe internally, God forbid, I hope not, but at Amazon, who were, pushing back on this or in revolt on this stuff. And I'm like, you're going to have to pick your battles, because what's going to happen is these folks are going to quit. And I think somebody else mentioned this on Reddit. I think it might be, is it this Reddit here? Where somebody had said, if they quit and leave on their own, companies don't have to pay you severance, right? So yeah, This is literally a strategy to initiate layoffs. If they get enough people to quit, they don't do layoffs. They don't get negative press that comes with that. So yeah, you get, you know, this means they're conducting layoffs. The company got real strict about RTO. Instead of insisting on 3 days in the office and laying off fully remote workers, 9 months later, they dropped the policy and hired 75% of the exact same remote workers they laid off and gave a year severance to. But yeah, it's weird. This person's an idiot. It's not the Bezos way. But yeah, I get it. There's theories that, you know, big corporations own a ton of real estate that isn't being used. So there's $1 trillion worth of downtown, Seattle and San Diego areas that aren't being used. But yeah, I hope it comes to a head. Either we all give up and go back into the office, like, or go to automatons, or, you know, some organizations, you know, start picking up people. Yeah. Or really, I hate the idea. The reason is that bosses want to see butts in seats as a power move. Yeah, I think it is just a power move. But the problem is, I'm going into an office where I don't even have a manager in the seat. Mine's in like Jersey City, New Jersey right now. Well, before that was Toronto. And then we've had offsites. I'm actually supposed to go to an offsite, hopefully, to New York City to meet all these folks in a couple weeks. So yeah. Or that it try and get people to think the employer only. Yeah, no sharing of time during the 9 to 5 time slot. I will have you know that when I worked in an office from a 9 to 5 time slot, I did not do work for 9 hours a day. And yeah. But you know, at the beginning of the pandemic, it was just as bad, right? I got a job with a company in 2021, like the beginning of 2021. So we were still under a lot of lockdown in the area. It would be nothing for my manager to try to have a 7 o'clock meeting with me. And I was like, I still have a life, even though, you know, I'm stuck at home. And I'm like, I'm not going to be working from, 7 in the morning till 8 at night because you feel that there is, you're stuck at home, so you should be able to work. I'm like, no, I'm going to set my fucking work hours. And it's like, after 5 o'clock, don't fucking call me. Don't talk to me. I don't put shit on my phone for a reason, because matter of fact, I've got a new manager because we just reorged, and she's like, hey, what's your phone number for absolute emergencies? And I haven't answered her yet because I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to give you my phone number. Yeah, just really not a big fan. Way I think this is why I think they say and what they actually mean are two different things. Yeah, I mean, it is definitely corporate BS. The problem is, it's like you hope, and for the most part, I don't think Microsoft has actually initiated anything like this, because I think they get it, which, hate all you want on Microsoft. They haven't initiated like everyone to get your ass back in a seat, because I think they understand the value of allowing people to work that way. And to Walt's point, if somebody is underperforming, this is where management needs to step in and go, okay, look, it's not, hey, we're going to take away your work from home. It's like the way we manage has to change. If we're still using methods that, from the early 2000s and what have you, where it's like everybody has to be in a seat, I have to see you, diligently working, chained to your desk. That is not the way to do it. If there's a problem with an underperforming employee, you set milestones, you set deadlines, you follow up on their work, you have one-on-ones, you follow the Holy Trinity, which is one-on-ones, mentorship, and what is the Holy Trinity? I forget. I haven't listened to Manager Tools in a while. One-on-ones, feed. Manager Tool. One-on-ones, feedback, and coaching. One-on-ones, feedback, and coaching. So this is a good podcast. Yeah, one-on-one feedback and coaching. Yeah. This is a good podcast. Manager Tools, they have executive tools now. They have several different podcasts that they go through, and they talk about things like if you want to be a better manager, But every year they do the Holy Trinity episode around evaluation time, one-on-ones, coaching and feedback. It's called Manager Dash Tools. Mr. Betcher actually gave me this one. But yeah, Walt, to your point, it does damage credibility of the org, of the manager positions and roles, because you were promised something, you're working that way. It's either the fact that they want to go back to the office is the way they manage isn't working, and they think they can get so much more turnip blood from that stone, or squeezing blood from a turnip, or whatever that colloquialism is. But I have a feeling they're gonna. The place I work at does things like employee surveys, and I would not want to be the person looking at the Amazon employee satisfaction surveys in the next, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. But you'll also, if you work at that place, you're going to start seeing more attrition. There's going to be more people leaving. The other thing I found interesting from that article, where was it? He wanted to, no, it's not it wasn't the return to office thing. There was another bit that kind of got buried during that I found interesting. Jassy memo, RTO. Where is it? No, that's not it. That's not it. See if he actually, here it is, memo staff. All right, so this is actually on the website here, strengthening our culture and teams. Okay, sure. He had mentioned, there was another thing that talked, what was it? It was here. So we're asking S team, which is, I'm assuming it means like, it's not security team. It's like managers or managers of managers or VPs or whatever. They're wanting to increase the ratio of individual contributors to managers by 15% by the end of Q1 2025. Having fewer managers will remove layers and flatten organizations more than they have today. Some people are probably looking at a demotion. And, I'm sure people are quick to say, well, moving from a manager to an IC role is not a demotion. If you had a team and all of a sudden you're no longer a manager of that team and you're now just a person again, there's going to be some folks that are going to feel that that's a demotion, which that may be, back to what I was talking about with, that may actually be a reason. It's just interesting, the idea of having more ICs or managers. There's going to be some folks that are going to see it as a demotion, I think. But it is interesting to see what is happening there. And I do think that there's going to be some people that are going to decide to find greener pastures, or if they've been at this place long enough that they're going to maybe do their own startups or something like that, or maybe just retire, because some of them are probably rich enough that they could retire if they've been there long enough. But anyway, yeah, kind of interesting. Flattening the org. I've never heard of anything like that, where it's like, we're just going to get rid of managers. Okay, I don't know what that looks like. I saw this on Reddit 5 days ago, but I had posted up something here, and I actually found it in my workplace. So, what are some things we should stop doing? And somebody said, one second. God damn it, where's my mouse? There we go. So somebody said, stop throwing more people at problems and start building things secure by design. I don't know if everybody who's in the r/cybersecurity channel on Reddit are security professionals, but I found this a somewhat enlightening thread, because I did feel like there were some themes I did feel like there were some overarching themes. I actually contributed this. Obviously, I said, the certs versus degrees thing versus not needing them at all. I liked this one because I actually got called out for being negative. It's not one thing, it's another. We don't all get to work in soundproof studios, all that kind of stuff. Of course, that would require me to return to the office. So. Good grief. Maybe I should go back to my karaoke mic so there's less, background noise. So, what? There you go. Okay. I found this one interesting. The dropping the stigma of needing to know everything. Stop being negative. I think, and I come from two different business lines for this. I joined the Navy to be a weather person, which when you're a weather person, you kind of want to err on the side of caution. And in some cases, caution also means pessimism, because if you're briefing a carrier strike group or a deployment of ships that are going to be going from here to here, and you aren't 100% certain that everything is going to be sunny between these 2 points, you kind of want to give them the worst. You kind of want to err on the side of, hey, there could be a typhoon. If there's a chance of a typhoon, I mean, you don't want to say, oh, it's going to be sunny and 72. And then get in there and it's going to be, big winds, a lot of waves, rough seas, lightning, thunder, flight operations hampered. You're going to have people going, what the fuck? You told us it was going to be sunny and 72. What is this shit? There's clouds crying and, it's like Armageddon out here. Well, it's like a 5% chance. Okay, well, that 5% chance happened, right? I think it's the same thing with security, right? And I think I talked about that in my answer down here. It was like the negative, the pessimism is such that, you see this as a joke sometimes, and actually there's legitimate people at places like DEF CON where they'll be like, oh, you've got to take a burner phone, you've got to take your laptop's got to be wiped and whatever. And I was like, look, this isn't China. It's DEF CON. And I think once you get to a point in your career where you have to start being pragmatic. Otherwise, you're going to wither and die. But your threat model is not everyone else's threat model. You feel like you need to have a burner phone and a burner laptop and, a cool hacker name. And I gotta stop using quotey words with hacker, because I got burned on that on a post on Reddit because I keep using the term hacker with quotey fingers. But sure, if you want to be anonymous, or as anonymous as you think you can be, sure, do that. But not everybody needs to follow your same risk profile or risk analysis. Everybody is a little different. The stigma of needing to know everything. When we hire for a job, we ask people a lot of questions that we expect them to know, when in fact, they may not know half of those things, but they can Google them, right? The problem is, you can Bing them. There we go. My phone went off a little bit ago. I still have to look up curl switches or wget switches, or, which switch is going to allow me to do something in SQL or what have you. If I'm asked that in an interview, I won't know. I'll just search for it on my phone, or I'll just search for it on my browser window. It's not inherently necessary to know every switch, every, path, every registry entry, every IOC, every MITRE framework attack bit. That's why we have documentation, so that we can look these things up if we don't know. That's why we have how-to manuals. So, and this is a perfectly cromulent answer. I'm not sure. Let me do some research and I'll let you know. It's okay not to have all the answers, especially if you're going up against, talking to management or what have you. Last thing you want to do is to just throw something out that you may not have context on. Let me see, what was a couple of the other ones here? Hey, Archon, how you doing? Yeah, that's why I had a lot of problems with interviewing, because I would interview and invariably you end up with a panel interview and there's about 3 people in there. You have 2 people who may be nice, and then you have that one, and I don't want to use guy, but every time I've been interviewing with people, it's always been a guy, mostly a white guy, and he will ask you the most esoteric shit ever. And it's like, you get, I don't want to say softball questions from the other 2, but you get questions about the job or what have you. And I think that's where I've started suggesting to people that you need to control the conversation, because the more questions you allow them to ask, you're going to get that esoteric bullshit about, oh, well, which switch do you need in curl to be able to ignore TLS connections that have an improper certificate? And I'm like, fuck, I don't know that shit, but I know I can look it up. And of course, every time you don't know something, the other 2 who might be, oh, well, our resident Einstein over here is showing that you aren't on his level or something like that. Yeah, exactly, Archon. Yeah, I've forgotten more than most people know. Yeah, Walt, to your point, yeah, the job interviews are a trivia contest. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of how interviewing is done, and unfortunately, I don't think that there's a good way to interview people. Some of us have problems communicating that stuff, and that may be a problem for some jobs where it's like communication is key. There are other mediums with which to communicate with people. I know people who can't carry on a 2-way conversation face-to-face in person using their voice, but can write excellent emails or write excellent pen test reports. Would we have hired that person if I had just said, he can't even, articulate to me what he's trying to do. But, they write a damn good report, right? And it's, no, I understand, Archon. Yeah, I mean, I've been in the, industry, IT and security for about as long as you have. And it's like, I don't, there's just things that I've learned that I've forgotten, or it's like, it'll take me a few minutes to go, oh, okay, yeah, I remember all that stuff, and then there's just some things that I just have been trying to learn forever and just doesn't stick, right? And it's because I just haven't found a way to learn it in a way that sticks with me. We're doing the malware analysis stuff here, and I've tried programming on here, and it's like, I don't know what to do with it. I don't really have a reason to do that because my Google foo is strong enough that I'm like, oh, I can go and find somebody who's already created something. Why do I need to recreate the wheel? And logically for me, it's like, why do I want to recreate the wheel? I don't have time for that shit. I can get something that works and I bring it in. That sucks for me. But yeah. Yeah, job interviews is a trivia contest. I'm normally really good at trivia contests, but yeah, I think, what is that, curl? Is it curl-k, I think? Curl-k. I think K is where it ignores certificate issues in TLS or whatever. But invariably, you always get somebody who's, either they're insecure and they, think that you're going to try to show them up and they're the guy who's going to have the esoteric shit questions. Or you realize somewhere in the course of the interview that this is not the job for you. And invariably, it's one of those 2 things. that's why I've always been trying to suggest to people that yes, you need to ask clarifying questions. You need to, if you're confused, maybe they didn't form it right, or it never hurts, and it also slows down the pace of the interview. I mean, if they're banging on you with 30 or 40 questions at a time, you're going to get tired real quick, So it often helps to take a breath, ask a clarifying question. Now, are you something like curl, whatever, but if it's like they give you a scenario-based question, if there's some context you're missing there, maybe like, why are we doing this? Oh, put them on the defensive for once, make it so it's a bit more interactive, and if they give you homework, God forbid, yeah, those are interesting interviews too. I've heard of those from a developer point of view. If they give you homework to take home, make sure you use the right license when you give that back to them, so that they have to give you credit if you solved a problem and they don't hire you. I think you could probably license whatever it is that you give them from a solution point of view. Ice went down my back. I may be late to the party, but I've started using ChatGPT as a better search engine for coding. Therefore, might I ask ChatGPT for options? You know what? Sorry, y'all. I've been using Copilot for quite a few things, not for coding, and I might actually try it for coding because it sounds like a lot of people are using it for coding. I think the problem with ChatGPT and using it for coding is people think that code is good and is going to work. You still need to understand the code as you're writing it, at least, and hopefully you've got a QA team that's looking at it too. Interesting. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's interesting to hear that. I can imagine people using it a lot because it is a time saver for things that you don't necessarily want to do, or if you've forgotten how to use a for loop. and for loops are different based on different programming, and syntactically there's a few changes there. But yeah, it was an interesting thread. It wasn't. It's gotten longer, I guess, since the last time. Yeah, find a hobby that isn't security. You get burnt out if you're always doing security stuff. I think for the first 10 years, if I wasn't working in security, I was podcasting, or I was listening to podcasts of security podcasts. Find a hobby, and it's either security people tend to do things like metalworking, brewing beer, or we work out a lot. I think those are the three that I've seen a lot of. I don't know why the metalworking and the beer making, but yeah. I use short sections, 6 to 12 line of code, and then I check what it does. That's great. So yeah, personal fitness. I think the fitness stuff is just, gives you an opportunity to get away and work off some stress. Some endorphins, will help out. Some stuff has really crappy docs. ChatGPT gives you the key for decoding the docs. That's cool. That's really cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, I guess it would depend on. So Walt, here, question for you here. You said you use ChatGPT. Do they still have, what do they call it? If you did a query about something that happened like last week, would they have the information for that, or are they using search to do that, or is it like, oh, I can't answer any questions that didn't happen before August of 2021? I mean, for programming, a for loop is a for loop. While loop is a while. While do is always going to be while do. That kind of thing. But I was just thinking, if you're looking up something, is it going to be, you know, new? So if I asked about, something like that, something has, oh no, that's not. Anyway, so just thinking. Yes, stop gatekeeping. That's important. Stop pretending you're the corporate police. Read the room. Know your audience. Nothing is perfect. Work with others, empower them, delegate. Know when to stop talking. You're not going to prevent anything. Do better. I like that. I like that. Cyber cops. The only thing I would say to this person is stop pretending you're the corporate police. A lot of times, us security people are accountable for things that we have absolutely no control over. I've seen this time and time again where it's like you become the owner of something because you've raised it as a problem. And the team you're raising it to doesn't see the same impact or the same business problem as you. I used it to translate an Active Directory query from Windows 32 API to an LDAP, so it could run an AWS EC2 Linux container. Wow. That is delightfully esoteric. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, see, some of these, we also have some communities online from a security point of view that are not good, that, yeah, if they're gatekeeping or what have you, I don't know who they consider prominent folks. But yeah, I think the big thing is if you are accountable for things you have no control over, or you have to keep hounding the security, the development teams and the product teams for status because, you've got a MOR or something come up, you've got a meeting with your boss's boss's boss, and why haven't you fixed this yet? Well, I have no control over this. Dev manager is not doing this thing, or the product team is not, doing this, or it's going to take them 6 months because we just missed the deadline for the latest rollout. Saved lots of time for not having to figure out LDAP. Yeah, I mean, the last thing you want to do is be pouring through RFCs for LDAP to try to figure out how to, get that to move, or trial and error there, Walt. So that makes complete sense of why you would want to use something like that. My favorite is before there was things like ChatGPT. You would search for an error message or something on a very popular search engine website. You would find somebody asking that same question in Stack Overflow or some forum somewhere. You'd click on the link and there'd be nobody replied to it. Or the worst thing for me is the person who put the question in would pose the response, "Oh, I figured it out. My bad. Thanks." And it's like, no, tell me what you did. Which really sucks. You could be, or, like me, you would find an error message, you go search for it, then you find out you're the one who wrote the same question 5 years ago. You figured it out, but then you forgot what you did to actually solve the problem. That has happened to me more than once, sadly, because I was young and stupid and didn't put the solution in there. So, yeah. Wanted to find all the users in an AD group. We control features in our internal application based on group memberships. Ah, okay. Yeah. This is, you go through here and you're gonna find something you can, this list here, the feedback from some of these folks, you can definitely find something to latch onto. It's like, oh yes, exactly, 100%. We need to stop wringing our hands and losing sleep over business decisions we know will be problematic. Present the case, why should we do something, get their decision in writing and let it go. Right. If you've got a risk acceptance policy, escalate to that, right? It's like, okay, great. You and I don't agree on this solution. You want to go ahead and do it. I don't want you to do it. Do the risk acceptance. We'll get it sent up to your VP or what have you. Sometimes if you play that card, it may be a bluff, or it may be that that person doesn't want to take the time and effort to go through the acceptance process. In that case, you may have to fill out some paperwork, but it's definitely something you should have in place. You should have some kind of risk acceptance policy in place, so that if you do have a business decision you don't agree with, you'll be able to figure that out accordingly. The other thing I like to mention when I talk to people about business exceptions is we have a bug bounty program. So it's like, if we accept this risk and this product ships, or this thing makes it to the public, how easy would it be discoverable, right? Is it discoverable to the outside world? Okay, great. If we have some kind of response when PR comes back to us and says, somebody just published a notice about how bad this product is because of this thing that we accepted this risk for, are you cool with that? Sometimes those are different cards you can play now, instead of, what are we going to do when somebody discovers it in the wild? That kind of thing. Are we going to be required to fix it? Or will we, just kind of let it go and hope that, ooh, squirrel for the, the World Wide Web, and then everybody finds, something else to complain about or talk about. So, see, okay, so this must have happened afterwards, because making decisions and strategies without metrics. I still suffer from this one quite a bit. Often you don't have metrics. I know that. I know you're supposed to have metrics when you're making decisions. The problem is you have to decide what metrics are based on data. And sometimes you don't have metrics. Sometimes you just have experiential data to go off of. I've seen this at other organizations, and these are the things that often happen. And it's, so what did the reply say here? Hugely dumb. Strategies, I could say yes. Strategies, potentially yes. But making a decision, like an operational or a tactical decision, I don't know. I found the answer to a question that I asked. I was the person on Stack Overflow that answered the question. Exactly, Walt. Yeah, that's good. You've forgotten that, and then you were able to remind yourself. Yes, I love this one. Making metrics not look good. Metrics are going to tell a story. Metrics are going to make you look like a hero, or they're going to make you look like a zero. And people that can make metrics that look good, they get things done. It's unfortunate kind of thing. Yes, this is good here. This is good here. Stop making CVSS your sole input for decision making. I've had to start doing that myself, because it's like, okay, yeah, it's a 10, but you have to be on the network already. You have to, there's extenuating circumstances. There are things that you have to, do to make it happen. Like, there was an issue just recently, and it was like, yes, this is a problem. It's in an open source library, but you have to be in physical contact with the thing. You have to take it away from the person who's using it as the bad actor to be able to plug it into your computer, run the commands, and then you can do whatever you like to the device. And I was like, okay, what's the ask here? Yes, this is a very high impact thing for the one person that it gets hit on. That's where the threat, Showstack, Adam Showstack. That's the person I was trying to think of the other day. He does threat modeling all the time. That's his bread and butter. And having the having the impact of a CVSS 10 when it doesn't affect you, or there are already controls in place that can lower that, is how you're going to have to explain to management why this isn't a huge issue and needs to be patched on a Friday night at 7:30 and can wait until Monday, or why we need to patch because it is a CVSS 10 and we don't have any controls in place and it is 7:30 on a Friday night and we need to push this patch now, outside of change management or whatever system you use by which to make changes to your org. So anyway, I don't want to go through all of this, but single point of failures is also another good one as well. Yeah, that's rough. So I saw this article was making the run. So I'm not political. I don't want to be political in any way, shape, or form. The Hezbollah people who are, in the Middle East, they're an Iran-backed militant group. Apparently, their pagers were exploding to the point where, yeah, the pagers. This is in Security Week, so one, I'm trying to figure out, do they mean like the old alpha pagers, like 911 or boobies or whatever it is when you flipped it upside down? Really? So pagers still have a place in, I guess, terrorist operations. Yeah, I mean, from what I am seeing, what was it here? According to, so I'm looking at my work Slack right now. Somebody just posted something up. The New York Times is reporting the explosive implant was installed in the supply chain in Taiwan. Let me see if I can pull that article up. Okay, New York Times. Yeah, it's going to be paywalled out the ass. So Hezbollah. No, can't even spell Hezbollah right. Hezbollah. There we go. Israel planned explosives and pagers sold to them. Pagers, it is. Yes, it's Taiwan, huh? Taiwan. Yeah, here it is. 42 minutes ago. I may have to 12-foot this thing. I don't know. So Israel carried out an operation on Tuesday by hiding explosive material within a new batch of Taiwanese-made pagers imported into Lebanon, according to American and other officials briefed on the operation. So apparently this was a classified briefing, and we've got American and other officials briefed on the operation, telling the New York Times, hey, this is what happened. The pagers, which Hezbollah had ordered from Gold Apollo in Taiwan, had been tampered with before they reached Lebanon. This is concerning, I think, from a... That is so Mossad. Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe it is. We will probably find out. Explosive material as little as 1 to 2 ounces was implanted next to the battery in each pager. 2 of the officials said the switch was also embedded that could be triggered remotely to detonate the explosives. See, this sounds great because, according to Israel's hitting up Hezbollah or whatever. If it's this easy to put it in some pagers for a terrorist organization, how hard would it be to put it in a bunch of laptops that go to the States or if you give your boss the pager number, they can contact you with a message, but you can't have a voice conversation. Good for keeping work-life balance. No, Walt, I completely understand the work-life balance for an alpha pager. It's just, yeah, I mean, maybe they don't have a good data plan. Maybe Hezbollah's got good dental, but not a good data plan for their work devices. Maybe their BYOD, bring your own detonators. Yeah. That should be a clip. So yeah, instead the message activated the explosives. So wait, the pagers received a message that appeared as though it was coming from Hezbollah's leadership. Instead, the message activated the explosives. So that there's more than just the explosives, it sounds like here. It sounds like that there may have been some special flashing of the pagers so that when a specifically formatted message come in or a specific string text came in, the operating system on the pager or activates the explosives. Yeah, this is definitely, Walt, very interesting supply chain type attack, but it had to come from what appeared to be the leadership of Hezbollah, and it activated the explosives. So devices were programmed to beep for several seconds before exploding. Okay. I guess they could have wired the explosives to go off of, I don't know what they were doing there. But it feels like they added the explosives, they added some wires to something. You would have thought that they would have had to have waited, because if you'd have just powered it up, the first message they would have gotten would have blown everybody up. So there had to have been either a delay, or there had to be some sort of method by which these pagers were likely modified in some way to cause I mean, Mikko Hipponen is not stupid. I'm just saying, duh, they had to have modified them in some way. What I'm wondering is how they found out that it was in the pagers and not in something else. Unless they, forensically noticed it, they found the residue somewhere. 3,000 pagers. They distributed some of the pagers to their allies, so thanks, Lady P. I can start now. Okay, cool. From a supply chain point of view, this is scary as shit, right? I mean, yeah, according to Archon, if this is so Mossad, it's just how easy would it be to put this in a, brand new Pixel or an iPhone or... No, I understand, Archon. I understand. There is a level of sophistication required, either bribing the creators of at some point they were intercepted, whether it be on a flat in a plane flying from Taiwan to wherever their point of departure was. In 15 hours, they managed to, modify all of them accordingly. Some point in the supply chain, Amazon truck delivered them, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. The AP924 model. Let's go see what they look like. Apollo Gold. That is not it. Pager. Oh, okay. So those are quite beefy. So, I mean, you could do a ton of stuff with those. You could put a smaller battery in. I mean, that is interesting. I wonder what kind of operating system they run on those. I was thinking they were much smaller, but yeah, those are. I mean, well, those are kind of small. I mean, look at the hands on that. That guy's either got really big hands and it's like something like this, or they got anyway. Well, Lady P, don't turn it on. Okay, just leave it turned off. Just in case. What? The other thing is interesting. So it runs on a frequency. So for Apple Intelligence Server Colo items, they're doing X-ray scanning of parts before installation. Oh. Well, Lady P, if you get a phone call or a text message from a Hezbollah leadership, you might want to toss that thing really, really big. Get up here. Come on. There you go. Meow. 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 There you go. Get up here and help out. What do you think about all this? Oh, I see. So yeah, they actually say 90s beeper pagers. So these are like, old school 90s technology they're trying to say. Yeah, the interesting thing is, I mean, as 1 to 2 ounces of explosive, I mean, that's going to put a nice big hole in somebody. The fact that they're on frequency, yeah, that's, there's a lot to take it down with that. But POGSAG is the protocol. Oh, I see. POGSAG, all the things. POCSAG, protocol. Yeah, there you go. What? Post Office Code Standardization Advisory Group, POGSAG. There you go. 512, 1200, or 2400 bits. My guess is they don't have GPS in them, so they can't be tracked by people and then be used for warheads on foreheads. I think I had one when I was doing when pager duty actually had a physical pager. Probably 1999, 2000 timeframe, but I haven't had one since. RF frequency shift keying with a plus or minus 4500 hertz shift on the RF carrier. Okay, those are one-way pagers. Yeah. According to this, it looks like you could actually respond or reply. Oh, you hit OK, I guess. Maybe you can't respond. So, yeah. But anyway, so supply chain, you can put explosives in things now. You can, intercept things going to a place. See, this is interesting. So, would have required whoever did it. I'm not saying it's Mossad or Israelis or whatever. I'm not trying to be overly political here, but it would have required them to know exactly where they were getting their pagers from or their infrastructure to be able to do communications with. And instead of going, well, we'll just take down the 148 megahertz to 151 megahertz range so they can't communicate that way. They're like, maybe we do a little applied, little wet work, if you will. Cracking all these open, putting things in them, and then wiring it such a way so they get a message from a specific place that causes the explosion instead of, hey, honey, I need, bread, eggs, milk. Go get bread, eggs, milk. It's, boom, that kind of thing. So worked even when email was down. Yeah, I think that's the point. It is a cat. Yes, it is. It is my small dirt bag. There's my dirt bag. Hello. Yeah. See, I told you they all come to just hang out and watch you. So you're too pretty. That's what it is. You're so pretty. There's my boy. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. So yeah, very, very interesting implications here about what this can have. I mean, excuse me, buddy. That's my chroma. Yeah, that's mine, buddy. Are you going to get up here too? No, it's going to be a fight. But yeah, so let me see. Is there anything else? Devices are programmed to beep for several seconds. Hezbollah's accused Israel. Sure, American and other officials spoke on condition of anonymity. Yeah. Studied footage of the attack, said it was clear the strength and speed of the explosions were caused by explosive material. Okay, so they're just assuming because they saw a video or something like that. Modified in some way, yes. Took out a central means of communication. That makes sense. If this is the way they communicate, then they're going to make them fear their communications devices. So they're going to have a different way of doing that. They don't want to use phones for the GPS in them. Hey, buddy. Unclear when they were ordered and when they arrived in Lebanon. Well, somebody knew when they ordered and when they were arriving in Lebanon. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Hey, buddy, do you want to get up here? Yeah, it's okay, buddy. Good boy. Good boy. Let me see. So I found this. This was actually posted in our blue team on our Slack. If you need to make your pagers explode or stop them from exploding, I'm available for here. Oh no. There you go. Lady P's, you want to get up here, buddy? Come here, buddy. My big boy. Come here. Come here, buddy. Oh my goodness, he's my big boy. Oh, this is my big boy. This is Q-Tip. Hey, buddy. He's my good boy. You're my good boy. Yeah. You a good boy? You're internet famous now. He's 13 pounds. He used to be 18. He's my chunky boy, but he's lost a little weight. Oh, he's a good boy. Yeah. You want to get down? No. No? Okay. Well, you stay up here as long as you want. Yeah, if you want your page, I'm not sure you want to use that as your selling slogan there, Lady P. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Maybe yeah, not exploding. Non-exploding pagers. That would be good. But yes, I mean, for all intents and purposes, they've disrupted communications with the Hezbollah folks, whoever did it. And yeah, so this article from HelpNet Security, which sometimes is good, sometimes is not, about open source cybersecurity tools. If making my projects explode unexpectedly is a hireable job skill, then my qualifications just improved greatly. Yeah, I make the blue smoke come out of quite a few things when I'm around. So, so this is 33 cybersecurity solutions you didn't know you needed. Now, I would preface this by saying that some of these are probably 32 things that create problems you didn't know you wanted. You can also, flip it for that. They have a identity provider, something called Authentic. Never heard of that one. Looks like, oh, this just go to, okay, so let me see. It's an open source identity for maximum. Oh, so it's like an Okta clone or something like that. So a lot of these are maybe, hey, you don't want to use Okta, you don't want to use whatever the other one for Okta is. Okta competitor. Okta, Secure Auth, RSA, Broadcom, Google. Yeah. Yeah. So if you don't want to use any of those, these are open source. I think the thing to remember about anything that great, it's open source, but you're going to pay at some point, right? Either it's going to be in your own time and effort. You may or may not be able to get a support contract, so you're pretty much on your own. So yeah, Bunker Web, maybe great WAF. Oh, appreciate that. Thank you so much for following. Appreciate you. Yeah, think $500 office chair. Well, hello, $500 office chair. Yes, it's an IDP you can run yourself. You actually use Authentic at home, Archon? Wow, this is cool. Somebody actually uses something we're talking about on the page here. Yeah, so open source eBPF-based networking, security, and visibility. So it's an open source cloud native solution that leverages eBPF, which is the Linux kernel firewall that exists. That's cool. What do you think of Authentic? Is it, it says it easily integrates, but the person who wrote this, oh, be careful, buddy. There you go. Good job. Is there any place that it doesn't work or it's not good? Allows friends and family to auth to my various services. Oh, that's cool. Do you use it to like SSH? What are you? Stop. Ew, you sneezing on my chroma, bro. This is my cat. You pushed my chroma over. Come on now. Man. Cat dad. Cat dad. That's one of the joys of being a cat dad. And they'll rearrange your chroma for you. So yeah, some of these I've never even heard of. I've heard of Cilium, I think. Bunker Web, I have not heard of. Cirrus, which is an open source cloud forensics collection tool. So there you go. Something if you need to do forensics on your Google Cloud Forensic Collection. I'm sure there's more tools similar to this, but don't know if I posted that up here on my system here. Okay, yeah, so you can, there's a link there if you want to go and poke around on some of these. Damn vulnerable UEFI. Hey, there you go. So if you want to play around with a UEFI that, you don't want to, try to brick your own laptops, there's one you can use. Gidra, of course, everyone knows Gidra. GitLeaks is pretty good. It's very similar to Truffle Hog. Gripe, open source vulnerability scanner for container images and file systems. Interesting. A powerful software bill of materials tool. Okay. Alpine, Amazon, BusyBox, CentOS, CBL Mariner, Distroless. Interesting. Wolfie finds packages for specifics, so Ruby, Java, JavaScript, Python, .NET. Yeah, I see you. What? I wish I wasn't so popular right now. Golang, PHP, and Rust. So that's all the big ones. That's all the big ones. That's really nice. That might be fun to play with. Gripe is available on GitHub. So if you have a lot of containers in your environment, you can go look for vulnerabilities in those and then, completely blow them away and build new source, new containers for your image files and file systems. Gripe is okay for SBOMs. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Let's see. What else? What else do we have here? Gidra, of course, we have it installed on our reverse engineering systems here. In physical, open source secret management platform. So I'm assuming that would be similar to like a software HSM from like Talus or something like that in physical. Let's see, what does it do? Intuitive dashboard for managing secrets across projects and environments. You can check and inject secrets, so it allows you to check those out. It has an API to be able to pull those secrets. So yeah, it's very similar to a Talus or what AWS has. Looks like it'll work with your AWS Ocean and other platforms. So it might be a cheaper version of an HSM, which are not cheap, right? Secret manager. Yeah, so AWS has a secrets manager you can use. I'm sure Microsoft or Azure and Google have something similar for key management services. So if you want to use the open source version, because KMS is available, but every time you make an API call, they charge you for that, right? So if you make millions of calls, or you're worried about the cost and trying to keep costs down, using something like that might be easier for you. Or if you're like multi-cloud, for instance, and you don't want to have to worry about trying to make an API call from Azure to your AWS site, you might have something that's multi-cloud available or what have you. Well, that's kind of cool. That was interesting. Gripe in physical. Intel Owl, open source threat intelligence management. Oh, so this will manage all of your threat intelligence management. Got a sexy dashboard. There you go. I want to say I've seen this one before. Intel Owl. Oh, it's still maintained. That's good. The one thing I would say about these open source projects is if you go into their GitHub and they haven't had any updates for more than a year, you'd be like, do I want to use that? Because they might just decide, hey, we don't want to do this, or worse, it's like open source, but somebody buys them, and it's like, oh, now what are you going to do, right? So just something to think about as well if you're worried about those. 20 cybersecurity tools you might have missed. Wow, they have nice. What I like is these listicles aren't awful with ads between all of them. So Monocle, open source LLM for binary analysis search. Okay, LLM. An open source vulnerability scanner that isn't OpenVAS. That would be nice. How many people have tried OpenVOS? Hopefully it's gotten better. But here's Nuclei. So that's cool. OpenBAS, open source breach and attack simulation platform. Oh, very cool. Okay, so like a red team in a box, kind of. Open source platform enables organizations to plan, schedule, and execute crisis exercises, adversary simulations, and breach simulations. That one, this sounds dangerous. This one sounds dangerous. Yeah, I guess it's okay. That, yeah, I'm hoping what they don't do is allow you to just, go and start attacking things from there. Executing crisis exercises, adversary simulations, and breach simulations. I almost want to open this one up and see what it's about. I used to use OpenBOS all the time. Yeah, I used to use OpenBOS a lot too, but the problem I had with it was it was just as good as Nessus was back then. So, hey, Digital Warhead, what's up, man? Hope everything's going good with you, sir. It's good to see you. We're talking about exploding pagers and open source tools that exist, and yeah, OpenZD, secure open source networking, zero trust networking principles directly into your applications. I've heard of Portainer. That one I've heard of. Delivery service for applications. Radar has been around for a long time. That's not new. Yeah, that was a pretty crazy story. Radar has been around a long time. Yeah, 2006. Yeah. I think we've talked about it a few times. It proved invaluable during CTF competitions at work and for personal reverse engineering projects. Software nature, permissive license, ease of extensions, and integrations with other tools. So yeah, it has several tools, being able to, interact with Frida, symbolic execution. Yeah, so yeah, you can go and grab that one too if you want to expand your repertoire of reverse engineering tools. But yeah, that one's been around for a while. So yeah, it has a nice, not incurses, but it looks like, it's got a nice colored data, but it's just, I need screenshots, people. Give me screenshots. Anyway. IATO is the official graphical user interface. Okay. Damn. There you go. Oh, you suck. Oh, that really sucks. Okay. So you can't like make it bigger. So, yeah. There we go. Rust Scan is a port scanner. Okay. Scout Suite. Everybody knows about Scout Suite. Selks. I heard about that one. It's actually, they have Helks now as well, which is a very similar. It's almost like a, it's used Suricata, Shuffle, Sign On, SniffNet, SubSnipe, open source tool for finding subdomains vulnerable to takeover. Really? So I'll tell you, without telling you, subdomain takeovers are very valuable in a bug bounty program. That's all I'm going to say. Yep. Say I found static.example.com as a C name for an S3 bucket called static example. The fingerprinting tells me it's an S3 bucket. S3 buckets are theoretically takeoverable, but of course it is only if the bucket name is available. So the tool runs DNS and HTTP requests and tries to determine if resources are available for takeover. Jay Haddix is the king of, yeah. It's also quite lucrative for some organizations with bug bounty programs. So subdomain takeovers. Bounty hacker. Yeah. So I mean, just the stuff that you can see online here, brand.zen.ly, or any organization that has a lot. See, you got 750 here, but depending on the criticality of it, it can get up fairly high. So this one paid out $750. Oh, somebody, wow. Okay, so there's some inception level shit here. You have subdomain takeover at info.hacker.one. The other thing is, if you can find like Microsoft.com, and if you can make some of the letters different, like if you can change one of the O's in Microsoft to a different character, and there's an application that doesn't make the delineation between Microsoft with all O's and Microsoft with a special O character in the domain, do all kinds of shit with that. Yeah. Interesting stuff there. To the point where, some organizations will actually have to buy all of the domains that can be made with, different O's or different L's, or, various characters that are different in that respect. Jay Haddix actually was the reason the bug bounty village at DEF CON blew its doors. I got one of their coins, but yeah, he was going to speak at the bug bounty village, and one of the village organizers for the bug bounty village, his name's Harley, had said, yeah, we have room for 75 people, but Jason Haddix is coming to speak, and what was the other guy's name? Franz, I think, one of the hackers superstars, one of the $1 million hackers from the HackerOne program, was coming in to speak, and there was a line out the door and around the corner, and it was like 150 people in line going to see Jay Haddix talk. We're like, yeah, it's not going to happen. Everybody past this point, you're not going to be in the call, or in the room. And so that was some feedback. I think the bug bounty village people was like, yeah, we need a bigger venue if we're going to have speakers or speaker track. So that was kind of cool. Wow. Yeah. Hour and 30 minutes goes like that, don't it? What were some of the other things that came out today? Yeah, remote pager hackers, backdoor deployment of a Trojanized PDF reader. Let's see, man charged for spear phishing against NASA and the U.S. government. Why would you do this? Why would you do that? What did he do? Let's see. DOJ charged a Chinese national who used spear phishing emails to target employees of NASA, Air Force, Army, Navy, and the FAA. The man who remains, that should be an N, at large, used a fake email account to pose a US-based researcher. Okay, so the problem is it was successful. That's the problem. He conducted a multi-year phishing campaign aimed at gathering specialized software. I don't think he would have been picked up by them if it hadn't been successful. So he must have gotten something from somebody, in which he created accounts to impersonate US-based researchers and then use those accounts to obtain specialized, restricted, or proprietary software. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. He wouldn't have been charged by the DOJ if he'd just been some kook that everybody was like, oh, no, our email filters caught that. Oh, this specialized could be used for industrial or military applications, such as development of advanced tactical missiles. Oh, God. While carrying out these, he was employed as an engineer at an aviation industry corporation of China. Okay. 14 counts of wire fraud, 14 accounts aggravated identity theft. Wire fraud charged 20 years in prison. So he's looking at 280 years in prison with an additional mandatory 2-year consecutive sentence for aggravated identity theft. Yes, if he had not been successful, he wouldn't have been, charged. In fact, he was successful. Yeah, there's a lot of folks having to ask a lot of hard questions about why they shared that information. Probably some people losing some security clearances. That's my guess. So let's see what the press release said. Press release probably said the same thing that's summed up in the article itself too. But grave threat to national security. Sure. Indictment demonstrates borders are not barriers prosecuting bad actors who threaten our national security. Spear phishing emails. His emails requested that targeted victims send or make available source code or software to which Song believed the target victim had access. Okay. Yes, members are reminded the indictment only contains charges. The defendant is presumed innocent of the charges and it will be the government's burden to prove the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay. The other side of that coin is they must have enough evidence to actually say that he is more than just a person of interest, to be able to charge them with 14 counts of wire fraud and 14 counts of aggravated identity theft. They must have IPs, they've got their ducks in a row to be able to say that this person definitively is a person of extreme interest in this case. Maybe they interviewed enough of the NASA, U.S. Air Force, Navy, and FAA people to suggest that. So, yeah. Yeah. Go see what that is. Okay. Wow. First remote virtual machine with unique device fingerprints and residential proxies for each. That's AP News? Okay. The death of InfoSec Twitter. You know, people have been saying that for a long time. But it sounds like we have, wow, so we have data here to back some of that up. So what they say, InfoSec Twitter decided the vibrant, active, and enthusiastic community of security practitioners working around the industry. It's been insightful, inspiration, and entertainment for many years. I would agree. Bit of sadness, the death of InfoSec Twitter is upon us. So yeah, we say the first bit of data from Twitter recording tweets with discussions of CVEs on Twitter, researching and studying vulnerabilities for several years. EPSS was in full swing. So EPSS is the exposure score I think you can get from, exploit prediction scoring system you can get from first.org. Yes. So there's definitely a weekend effect. Yes, ebbs and flows. So you'll see less tweets happening during the weekends. Purchase of Twitter. So we've seen. Okay, so we go from about. They're only going by CVE tweets, I guess, at this point. So when did the InfoSec happen? Here we go. Okay, wow. All right, so we've seen on September 22nd to July 12th. So the new CEO was appointed, and then shortly thereafter, things started dropping down, and then Meta launched its threads. That's their only, I don't want to say that's their only data point, because there's Blue Sky, there's Mastodon. I mean, Mastodon's been going on this whole time. Are we to believe that they haven't been doing anything with it until then? Because my thought was Mastodon was supposed to be the one that everybody was supposed to go to when Twitter went away. But I mean, it is interesting that right after they appointed the new CEO, things have started going down, but those are not, it is what it is. So rolling 2-week average. Unfortunately, this is where the story will stop. The free tier we were using to collect this data was cut off last. Okay, so this was when they were. Oh, this was from July 18th, 2023. What the hell? I mean, I think it's an interesting data point to show, less people using Twitter, and it's probably dropped off. It's probably stayed about the same from 2023 on. So what is everybody using instead of Twitter? If you're not, are you on Mastodon? What does everybody think of Mastodon? What does everybody think of Threads? What does everybody think of Blue Sky or whatever? because I mean, I've tried using Mastodon. I actually stayed on Twitter probably far longer than I like, and I hate to say this, but I actually like Reddit. And I'll tell you why. Because when I put something on here, somebody will actually respond to it. They may say I'm stupid, but at least I'll get some kind of response. You don't get anything when you're on Twitter, and you definitely don't get anything when you're on Mastodon. Yeah, I'm on Mastodon too. Maybe I don't use it correctly. I don't follow anybody, and maybe that's the problem. I should be following people, but I felt like going to Mastodon to repeat the mistakes of InfoSec Twitter was not helping people. And that was like, everybody follows the same 5 celebrities on Twitter. And it was like, we're all going to Mastodon to follow the same 5 popular people on Twitter. And I was like, this is not a popularity contest. You know, if you use the proper hashtags, that things are supposed to federate. And it feels like I'm fighting a losing battle, and I'll actually have to start following some people on Mastodon if I wanted to continue using it. But it's unlike Twitter, where you actually maybe have to click down a few people to get to the crazy. You get to the crazy real quick on Mastodon. And, you know, there's some really weird points of view over there that just kind of turn me off. So I'm on, you know, fairly boring things over here, you know, InfoSec, computers, Pokemon Go. Don't judge me. I like D&D. There's a lot of homebrew stuff on D&D as well. Blues Team Sec, Bug Bounty, Columbo. I like Columbo. You're kind of getting a little, hey, you know, what's Brian all about here thing. But on modern Twitter, the crazies come to you. Progress. Yeah, you know, I'm very big on the block function over there. I only follow about 500 people, so I figure if, you know, the celebrities are going to retweet something, somebody will you know, if the InfoSec Twitter celebrities tweet something, somebody's going to retweet it that I follow. So I'm pretty good on that respect. But you know, Critical Role, Damn That's Interesting, DaVinci Resolve, DEF CON, D&D Brews, Earth Porn is actually pretty good. You got, you know, Fancy Pictures. I use those for backgrounds. But anyway, I get something different out of Reddit than I do with Twitter or with Reddit. I get back and forth. I get communication. I get somebody saying, hey, that's cool, that's interesting, or they'll respond to something. I didn't get shit on Twitter. I mean, years posting podcast episodes or content or retweeting something and suggesting these things. You'd be hard pressed to get anything. And I like the ability for people to respond to things I put out. Hey, Acornex, thank you for being here, and thank you for the group. I was just about to actually get off and go have dinner because I have not had dinner. I'm sorry. We talked about exploding pagers today, Acornex. If you want to go and check those out. We also looked at open source tools that you may or may not know about, which was pretty good. You know, things like radar, and there was a bunch of other stuff. And then Lady P came on. We talked about exploding pagers. So if you're, you know, interesting supply channel attack there with exploding pagers. I mean, at some point they'll cut out the middleman and just make it so your phone overheats and burns a hole in your leg, or, you know, replace some of the 5,000 milliamp phone with a couple of ounces of plastic explosive and then give you a call and blow you up. I mean, if they can do it in a pager, they can put it in any kind of small device. I mean, here's my, you know, Shure, you know, lav mic connector that I'm, you know, using for my lav mic. I mean, wouldn't be too hard. Also, very interesting attack. So. Anyway, let's go and see if there's anybody online, or if anybody has a streamer that they enjoy that we could go and raid. That's going to be me. It's gonna be me. Yeah. Pwn College is on right now. I don't think they allow for raiding, so that's unfortunate. Chill Hop Music is on. Maker Deck. L Pen Tester. L Pen Tester is good. Shadow Tech. Yeah, L Pen Tester is online. Yeah, it's a little Spanish bit there. Let me see. Anyone else? MakerDeck's online. Let's go watch machines make things because they don't judge people. Ah. Okay, that's great. Yeah, let's go raid MakerDeck. Anyway, I'm gonna go get some dinner, and I hope to be back on Friday afternoon. We'll do some malware stuff. We'll play around. Maybe we'll get some radar and put it on our Windows box, and we'll see what happens there. So I hope everyone has a good rest of their day, good rest of their week. Take care of yourselves, and thanks to everybody for coming and hanging out. And I will talk to you all very soon. Bye, everybody. Later.